Hello, everyone. Today, I wanted to talk about the next series, the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Minnesota Wild. And the Wild, nobody expected them to be nearly as good as they were. They had a very good season. And Golden Knights, everyone knew how good they were going to be. But overall, though, I think this is going to be a very entertaining series. Golden Knights had a record of 40, 14, and 2 for 82 points, which is second in the NHL, right behind Colorado. They almost got that President's Trophy. And on the Minnesota side, their record was 35, 16, and 5 for 75 points. Which, very solid season, one of the better teams in the NHL, and obviously got them a playoff spot. Spot that I think people expected them to maybe sneak into 4, but not really be a huge player in the league. But they really could be a surprising team in this playoffs. Moving on to the player stats. For Vegas, Mark Stone leads the way with 55 games played, 21 goals, 40 assists for 61 points. And what this doesn't show is how amazing his defensive game is. I would argue that he is currently the best defensive forward in the NHL. He can do everything out there. Score it over a point a game, no problem for him. Be one of the best defensive players? Yeah, sure. I mean, watching him play is amazing, and I'd argue he's around a top 5 player in the NHL. I wouldn't say he's quite there, but he's right around there. But he is phenomenal in every asset of the game. Which usually when you see a player as good at offense as he is, his defense struggles, or vice versa. It's amazing to see him play. Max Pacioretty is second on the team in points in 48 games played, 24 goals, 27 assists for 51 points. Which a year or 2 years ago, I thought that Pacioretty was starting to slow down. He was on the downslope of his career. Last year he had a really good bounce back year, and I kind of felt like it was just an off year, like a one-off, and then he was going to go back down. No. He's still doing phenomenal at over a point a game, and it's very reminiscent of Montreal Pacioretty, where he was their captain and leading them to deep playoff runs, and he's back to that form, and he's phenomenal. Next on the team in points is Jonathan Marchessault. 55 games played, 18 goals, 26 assists for 44 points. He's never going to get that magic back that he had in that first Vegas season. But he is still a phenomenal player. And he's still a great top 6 forward. And 44 points in 55 games is not shabby at all. That'd be second on the Wild. It's the team that they have been able to build in Vegas is phenomenal. Where I'm personally a huge Alex Tuch fan, and he was pretty far down the list in points for the team. And Tuch is a top 6 forward, in my opinion. And they have one of the best depths in the NHL, on top of having one of the best top end talents in the NHL. But it's also showing they need to win now, because they're not going to be able to keep all these players. And they got young guys coming in that are going to need money, like Cody Glass. Moving on to the Minnesota Wild side, Kirill Kaprizov has been a hero of this team. 55 games played, 27 goals, 24 assists for 51 points. What a rookie year for him. And he should win the Calder Trophy hands down. The only player ever anywhere near him is Jason Robertson on Dallas. But overall, though, it's Kaprizov's trophy. He has been so good this season. It is unreal. And just for a rookie at his age, it's great to see. Sorry about that, but like I was saying, Kaprizov's rookie season is very reminiscent of Matt Barzal's rookie year, in my opinion, and we've all seen what a great player Barzal can be. And the Wild are a team that I think can make his offense grow more than Barzal has with the Islanders to have his offense grow. So Kaprizov will be a phenomenal offensive player for years to come. Second on the team is Kevin Fiala. 50 goals played, 20 goals, 20 assists, 40 points. phenomenal year for him. And there's a trend on here where bounce back seasons. I did not think Fiala had a 40-point season in him. I thought Fiala was not great. He was good, probably second liner. But wow, this season he's been great. And it's just weird to see how many players on this team have just bounced back and had phenomenal seasons. Like, moving on to someone else, last year he had a bad year, the guy I'm about to bring up, but he was injured and then he was playing through an injury, and I didn't think that it was really what they could get out of him. This is what I expected from Matt Zuccarello. 42 games played, 11 goals, 24 assists, 35 points. He's having a phenomenal season. Him and Kaprizov have been dynamite together, and it is one of the best pairings on forwards in the NHL. And Zuccarello is one of the best playmakers in the NHL, I would say. I know I'm a little biased because of his time in the Rangers. The Rangers never gave him a sniper. And, well, they don't really have that with the Wild. Kaprizov can be the guy with a little more time to develop his goal scoring, which his goal scoring is already great. And Zuccarello, I think, can be a point-a-game player if you give him Kaprizov and another skilled player on his line. And they're finally getting that, and it's phenomenal to watch. Moving on to the special players. For the Golden Knights, I put Martinez, and it's not just for the points, even though he's known as more so a defensive defenseman, and his points are really good still. 53 games played, 9 goals, 23 assists for 32 points. That's great. And for a defensive defenseman, yeah, that's way more than you expect. Especially, you have Shea Theodore, you have Alex Pietrangelo, and you have a guy like Martinez putting up those numbers too. That's phenomenal for them. What I really wanted to focus in on him, 168 block shots. It's phenomenal. Like, you could put him in net, I think, and you'd get just as good numbers as you have with Fleury and Lehner. And their numbers have been amazing. But overall, though, he has been rock solid in the defensive end, and he's been a really good contributor offensively, too. I had him on my fantasy team this year, and he really saved me a couple times by winning me the block shots category. Moving on to the Minnesota Wild. I couldn't really find anyone that really stood out to me to the list, but I put Eric Sinek for similar reasons to Martinez, but not quite. 56 games played, 19 goals, 11 assists for 30 points, which is a great season. His defensive game is phenomenal. And it's not up to Stone's level, I would say, but it's still phenomenal. It's one of the best in the league for a forward. And it's, again, one of the reasons the Wild could be so successful. Moving on to the goaltending now. Vegas Golden Knights have a phenomenal tandem in Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Lehner. Fleury was seeming like last season that he was taking a step down in his career and he was starting to regress, and it seemed like it was Robin Lehner's net, and last year it was. This year it's Fleury's net, and not because Lehner hasn't been good. In 36 games played, Fleury has a 198 goals against average and a 928 save percentage. A 198 goals against. That is unreal. He lets in less than 2 goals per game in a total of 36 games, which, even though we are in a lower scoring league, that is amazing. I believe that's the best, if not top 3 goals against average in the NHL. Nedeljkovic might have a little bit better, but it's phenomenal, especially for a goalie at his age trying to catch records. Then Robin Lehner, if they need to go to him, 19 games played, 229 goals against, and a 913 save percentage. Those are really good numbers. Granted, they are a bit low for what you would want from a Vegas goaltender on average. But early in the season, he struggled a bit. He's been great lately, and if they need to go to him, they'll have no problems. There's no holes in this lineup. If Fleury went down with injury, it would suck, and it would be a bit of a downgrade to go to Lehner, but it wouldn't be awful. Minnesota Wild, Cam Talbot's net. 33 games played, a 263 goals against average, and a 915 save percentage. I've been saying for years that Talbot is still a phenomenal goaltender. And he showed it with New York. He showed it in his first season in Edmonton, but Edmonton did not foster his talent well enough. They gave him one season with a good team, and then the team around him was okay. The defense was atrocious in Edmonton after there. Left Edmonton, went to Calgary, had an amazing season as their backup goalie. And he ended up taking over the starter job by the end of the year, but he still, I felt, didn't get enough respect. Then he signs with Minnesota, and people were laughing at it a bit, saying that they really thought that he was the solution. Yeah, he kind of has been the solution. He's been great with them. And it's great to see another resurgence. Look at that. Fiala, Zuccarello, Talbot. 3 players just on the board, not even including one that I haven't gotten to yet, that are having resurgences in their career. And then if you want to include Kaprizov, there's a surgence of a new player coming in. It's been great. And now, unlike most of the videos that I've done so far, the team with the better record has a losing record against the other team. The Golden Knights are 3-4-1 versus the Minnesota Wild, and the Wild are 5-1-2 against the Golden Knights. So the Wild have lost one regulation game against Vegas all season. That is key there, because it's 5-on-5 hockey. If they go to overtime, it's 5-on-5. There's no shootouts. And that could be huge for Minnesota if they have really been better than Vegas 5-on-5 when they play against each other. However, this does feel reminiscent of the 2017 Devils Lightning series to me, where the Devils had a much better record against the Lightning than, even though the Lightning were a much better team. But in the end, it didn't really matter. They beat the Devils in 5, I think. I don't think this will be a 5-game series, but it just feels similar to that series. Going on to the team stats. Goals for per game, the Golden Knights are 3rd in the NHL with a 339 goals per game, which is unreal. And goals against, they're 1st with a 218. You have the 3rd best goals for and the best goals against. That's amazing, and it really shows why they were 2nd in the NHL. The only team with anything comparable to that is Colorado, who did win the President's Trophy. And no matter who gets, I will root for Minnesota because I do like Minnesota more. But I also would not be upset to see a Colorado-Vegas series in the 2nd round. That would be entertaining. Now moving on to Minnesota. Their goals for is a 3.21 goals for per game, which is 8th in the NHL, and they are 16th in goals against with a 2.84, which those are solid numbers, much better than you would have expected going into the season. The goals against is a little bit low, but the goals for is really good, and they are a solid playoff team. And they've got a few holes, and more so it's fill out the star power on their team than anything else. But if they can foster a couple more young players to develop into stars like Kaprizov, like if they could do it with Marco Rossi, they're kind of set for a while. Now moving on to players I want to talk about that could make a big impact in this series. Riley Smith is having a down year. Last season, In 71 games played, he had 27 goals, 27 assists for 54 points. So in a little less than 20 games played, a little bit more than 20 more games played than this season, he has 54 points. This season, 53 games played, 14 goals, 11 assists for 25 points. Last season, he was well above a point every other game. This season, he's just around there, a tiny bit below it. And it feels like it's a regression to me, but I could absolutely see it being just a bit of a down year and him bouncing back next year, especially not under these circumstances that we've had this season. But if they go on a deep run, I feel like that he needs to step it up a tiny bit, mainly for them to get past like a Colorado. And then on the Minnesota Wild, I needed to mention Marcus Foligno. Marcus Foligno is having a career year, and he's 29 years old. Last season, 59 games played, 11 goals, 14 assists for 25 points, which isn't bad. That's around a third liner, maybe second liner if you need him to be. And it was an overall pretty decent season for him. But this season, 39 games played, 11 goals, 15 assists for 26 points. That is really good. And seasons like that, that is another player that's a little older and having a great season for them. And you have to go with that with a little bit of caution going into next season, because it's okay, can all of these players keep these seasons the way that they had them this year? And I really feel like Foligno can. I really feel like that he just found his game this season. And it's just been a really solid season for him, where he's really proven himself. But overall, I am picking the Vegas Golden Knights to win in about 6 games, I would say. But Minnesota will give them a fight. I've seen a lot of people pick Minnesota to win the series, and I understand why. For the most part, I feel like it's people saying, okay, I need to pick an upset in the first round, and it's the most logical upset to pick for the most part. Because honestly, this is one of the closer first round series that it's not it could go either way. It really feels like that this is Vegas' series to lose. And Vegas kind of needs to win now, and I think that they know it. Especially if they want to win with Fleury, it needs to be now. But let me know what you guys think. Leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.